should be back. We should be back. And we're going to be hanging out playing some No Rest for the Wicked. We're going to first go through these patch notes. I think that's going to be the most important thing. I'm going to do this and film this like a video as well, just so that you guys are aware. And then I'm going to give you guys my thoughts along the way. So this is exciting. I didn't know if it was going to happen tonight. I'm glad it did. It's Wednesday. Still late on Wednesday. Depends on where you are in the world, etc. So yeah, here we go in this regards. Boom, baby. I guess I should just make this as a part of the patch notes reading, and then I'll just do an intro and do all the other stuff elsewhere. I feel a little self-conscious about doing it live. Let's see here. We're incredibly excited to release the largest patch yet. All right. All right, let's get it on with the patch notes. There is so much here that we have to cover. Let's start it off with just kind of a message from Kuro saying, we are incredibly excited to be releasing our largest patch yet, marking the 1-month anniversary of our Steam Early Access launch. Clearly written last week. Patch 2 is chock full of highly requested features such as weapon tryout, the ability to respec DLSS, FSR upscaling, and controller remapping. So excited to see that added here. Lots of balancing and quality of life improvements and audio, animation, and visual effects polish, as well as a multitude of bug fixes are also included. Now, I just did a live reaction. I don't know if I want to include that. It's like, I might just put it in at the end of this. Between DLSS and FSR, numerous CPU, GPU, and performance improvements and memory optimization that we're confident that your experience when playing No Rest for the Wicked will be significantly smoother across a wide range of hardware. For NVIDIA users, we're excited to mention that there's a new game-ready driver for No Rest for the Wicked, so be sure to check out the Patch 2 highlights video and the full patch notes below. So let's kick it off with performance. They highlight numerous specific CPU optimizations, but they say performance mode now lowers texture resolution, reducing crashes on lower end machines. They fix performance degradation and that might occur in some gamepads, and they fix numerous memory leaks. They reduce the instantiation spikes of numerous objects. They disable detail meshes on generic humanoid faces when not needed. They reduce latency, overhead the improved stability of GPU culling. They optimized the texture resolution and memory budgets for Steam Deck. They optimized art content for Ship Prologue and its cinematics. They removed unused weapon assets to free up memory and removed leftover developer tools to free up memory. They optimized the CPU spikes for a variety of common content loading operations, and they added texture streaming for character portraits during the dialogue interaction to save on memory. They fixed some persistent log spam being generated by potatoes and Nameless Pass, and they cleaned up a number of NPC prefabs, reducing memory footprint and installation costs. Or instantiation costs, excuse me. Optimized ambient occlusion rendering, extended GPU culling usage for more cases, and configured and optimized pooling for more prefab instantaneous reducing of CPU spikes. For gameplay systems, they added the new respec system. Players can now respec by examining the statue in the Serum Crucible, the Atrium. Respec allows players to take back attribute points that have been allocated at the cost of 1 Fallen Ember per attribute point return. Oh, they are going with the Fallen Embers. I was wondering if it was going to be Plague Ichor, but that's going to keep those things in high value. I'm glad I've got a lot socked away, and I'm going to have to keep going more on those farms to be able to kind of have all the different builds that I want. Players can then allocate returned attribute points for no cost at the respec screen or in an existing stats screen. So what do you guys think about that? I'm very curious to see how you feel about the embers being used to be able to respec your character. That also does mean that as you're playing through, until you get to the Crucible, you're not going to be able to respec. So there is a cost. Your choices still matter, but that's going to be something that I think it was more impactful to end game players. And that's important for me to know as a content creator and a guide maker on how to set up those guides so that new players don't end up like making it impossible for them to win, you know, in this case. Quality of life updates. All weapons can now be equipped regardless of their attribute requirements to allow players to try weapons that they acquire. Weapons that a player does not meet the requirements will deal less damage through negative scaling on the attributes that are below the weapon's attribute requirements. Inventory items can now be docked to compare them. Press F on the keyboard or Y on the controller to dock items and hover over other items to compare. They brought back the miscellaneous category to the inventory. Housing items, runes, fallen embers, and other miscellaneous items will now be sorted into this category to free up space from other categories. That's great. Yes. Okay. That's kind of what, as I start to look at these notes in comparison to what they were kind of doing their poetic teases. That's exciting to see that we got that. Vendor screens are now sorted by item type so that items can be more organized for purchase. They improve Stanima player HUD brightness for better visibility and readability of Stanima debt. They added side notifications for when Danos Sacrament upgrades are completed. They added floor indicators under the clock HUD to show that the Karim Crucible floors, and they improved the visibility of LB/RB button icons for equipment HUD on Steam Deck. Yay! More Steam Deck improvements. So this is really, really good. For the settings, they added support for upscaling DLSS 3.7 and FSR 2.2. Added custom key rebinding options for the controller. Really excited about that. They added support for mouse buttons 4, 5, and F1 through F12 keys for custom keyboard bindings. So they have. That's one of the things we were wondering, if they were going to do some additional keyboard bindings in this update. It looks like they got that snuck in. The default keyboard layout is set to mouse and WASD. They added support for workspace player HUD, Stanima wheel, NPC name tags, etc., and brightness to the UI brightness settings. For content additions, added a new set of enchantments. All throne runes can now be added to spears. That's cool. I wouldn't necessarily call that content. I'd be very curious if you would label that as a content. So sound off in the comments. We can have that discussion. Anyhow, balance. Nerfed throw runes. Reduce the poise damage on all the throne runes.